This is the last example for 2.1 day 2. What I want to do here is I want to show you how to, remind you how to do a scatter plot for one thing, and then also remind you how to do a linear regression on your calculator. So I've got this table going on here, and it says the average number of additional years a U.S. citizen is expected to live for various ages. So you get your age. If you're 10 years old, you're expected to live for another 68.5 years, and it goes down here. If you're 70, you're expected to live for another 15.1 years, and so they have some way of figuring that out. But we're going to make a scatter plot out of that and see if we can somehow make a linear equation with it. So I'm going to go right to my calculator, and remember that to get scatter plots, I'm going to hit Stat and then Edit. I have my list right here. I've got it all in there already. Make sure that those lists are exactly the same length. And then go to second y equals. So I already have my plot turned on, but you'll want to make sure that you have some similar settings on your calculator to what you see here. And then you are going to graph it. Now, if your graph doesn't look like mine, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Zoom Stat, which is Zoom number 9, and then you should see this graph. All right, the next thing that we're going to do, though, number 2 in this, is to do a linear regression on the calculator. So linear regression is right here. You go back to Stat, and then you arrow over to Calc, and it's number 4 on this list. Now, my calculator is a little bit older than what you might have, and so you don't see all the stuff that comes up there. But here's what I want you to do. If you're going to put this on your calculator, you want to see the line on your calculator. Want you to go down to that one spot that says Store Reg EQ. So get down to that spot. Put your cursor right there on that spot. You have it somewhere on your calculator. And what you're going to do is we're going to choose a variable. We're going to choose the y1 to put that into, so the calculator will automatically graph this for us, which will be kind of nice. Now, on my calculator, I'm just going to put the L1 right here. So here's what you do when you've arrowed down to Store Reg EQ. Then I want you to hit the button vars, then arrow over to yvars, hit enter on function, pick any one of them you want, does not really matter. It'll put it right there, it'll put it right next to Store Reg EQ. Some of you might have a menu item down the list that says calculate, so then you go down to calculate, hit enter, and it should give you a linear regression like this. Now, so I'm just going to write down the equation I have here. That's y equals about negative 0.897x plus 76.6. Okay, so there's my equation, and I can put that, if I've done all those steps if you've done all those steps that I've shown, then what will happen is your calculator will automatically put it in the y equals for you, which is really nice because then it's already on your graph and you can see how close it goes. Now, as far as predicting, the last question here is, let's use this equation to predict someone whose life expectancy of someone who's 80 years old. So we could go through that on the graph, or we could just plug it in here, plugging in 80 for x, and so negative 0.897 times 80, and then plus 76.6. Hit enter, and it expects, this function at least expects that someone who is 80 years old to have about 4.84 years left on their life. That's just life expectancy. That's not, of course, exactly what's going to happen. So that would be how many years left when someone is 80 years old. So go back and take a look at the steps if you need to, the linear regression, the scatter plot. That's something we're going to do a lot. So please make sure you're familiar with that and ask me in class if you're having any calculator issues, because the calculator can be a little tricky at times.